Today, we'll look at how to make your day less stressful by organizing it. Despite the fact that there is a light at the end of the pandemic tunnel, chronic stress continues to be the order of the day. Those of us fortunate enough to have jobs are working harder than ever. According to an examination of 3.1 million people's emails, lockdown lengthened the typical workday by about an hour. We find it difficult to concentrate when there is a lot of ambiguity. Because of our lack of focus, everything takes longer, and we work harder to achieve less. Fortunately, there are better ways to deal with anxiety and tiredness than convincing ourselves that we know what's ahead. One of those tactics, ironically, is planning. Don't get me wrong, I believe that the plans we set today are often ineffective the next day. However, even if our goals prove to be unfeasible, the planning process is essential. Planning gives our daily activities a sense of context and structure. It provides a stable platform for us to adjust to an unknown future. Here's how to build a strategy for the coming year that will help you find more concentration, flow, and productivity. Step number 1, allow your priorities to guide you. When the future is unclear, you need to be able to see our priorities at all times. Otherwise, we waste time on jobs that are vital to others, but not to us, or on tasks that are simple, but not critical. We often become overwhelmed by the amount of work we have to perform if we don't have clear priorities. To avoid this, we must first determine our top objectives, then devote 95% of our time to them, saying no to everything else as much as possible. Here are my top 5 priorities in order of importance to give you an idea of how this worked for me. Number 1, taking care of my own health and happiness so that I don't become depleted or overburdened. Number 1, taking care of my own health and happiness so that I don't become depleted or overburdened to the point where my other priorities are jeopardized. Number 2, taking care of my family, home, and closest friends. Number 3, work redesign writing and research. Number 4, mentoring and instructing, including speaking engagements. Number 5, giving back to the different communities in which I live. Spending 95% of my time on these top priorities leaves around 5 hours each week for the other 5%, the tasks that aren't a true priority but must be completed. Many days, I spend most of my 5% time answering emails and doing administrative work that has nothing to do with the above priorities. Step 2, establish a framework for yourself. In this hectic age, creating structure for yourself is one of the most crucial keys to both productivity and stability. If you're working from home but miss your office or even your commute, it's possible that you're missing the structure that a traditional office provided. A clear start and finish to the workday, built-in break, and time to socialize. Create a new daily routine if the one you've fallen into throughout the pandemic isn't working for you. Make a plan for your perfect day. Start by imagining your ideal day. You can use this free template. Reading, exercising, meditating, tidying up, and even tracking my routines are all habits I'm aiming to start or maintain on a regular basis. Some of my weekly duties are only done once, but they automatically recur on my calendar. For example, I do some bookkeeping every Friday after lunch, which is already in my planner template. I was continuously haggling with myself when I'd complete the things I needed to do before I set up my perfect day. Is it better to organize my day before or after breakfast? Is it necessary for me to shower at lunch to break up the day? I would have never thought about these things before the pandemic, since I had established habits that work. However, the possibilities are now limitless. Making decisions, even small ones like these, puts a strain on the area of our brain that needs to focus and depletes the energy we need for more critical tasks. Focus and energy are often in limited supply these days. It is preferable to make a decision once and for all, even if your job is less flexible and a substantial portion of your day is already booked. Having a clear morning and evening routine might assist. Try to include activities like exercise and a time to unwind in your schedule that tend to go unnoticed until you make time for them. Pre-planning routine tasks also aids in the formation of new habits and reduces the length of our to-do list. For years, I had recurrent to-dos such as deposit checks, clear out email, plan meals for the week. This added to my sensation of being overwhelmed by lengthening my chore list unnecessarily. I no longer need to write down or badger myself to complete these recurrent duties because I know when I will accomplish them. Number 3, make use of time blocking and task batching techniques. I use online calendars and task lists, but I prefer to arrange my days on paper first thing in the morning. That may appear redundant, but it allows me to see clearly what my daily priorities are and provides the framework I need to stay focused on them. Start by adding meetings and appointments to your calendar when arranging a certain day. This will assist you in determining how much time you have available for projects and chores. Next, set aside time for your most important duties. This is a method of time management known as time blocking. Then, in your calendar, block off time for smaller chores. I call these chores action items because they take around 20 minutes each. If I have an hour to spare, I know I can cross 3 of them off my to-do list. Quick tasks take approximately 5 minutes. If I have a half hour, I can do about 5 in that time. Task batching is the process of grouping comparable tasks together, in this way to increase efficiency. Now, sit back and unwind. Have you ever gotten up in the middle of the night thinking about an incomplete assignment, an email you forgot to send, or a meeting you didn't have time to schedule? To-do lists that linger sap our vitality and cause us to lose concentration, and sometimes our sleep. It turns out that all we have to do is notify our brains when we are going to do what we need to accomplish so they don't bother us. Researchers used to believe that this low-level anxiety about unfinished chores was our unconscious mind's way of reminding us what we needed to complete. The assumption was that the reminders or distracted thoughts and worries would last until the daily activity was finished. However, research shows that simply having a strategy to cope with an unfinished work improves our ability to focus significantly. It's less about understanding what needs to be done and more about selecting when it should be done. When we don't know when or how we'll finish the items on our to-do list, our minds tend to wander from one activity to the next. This is known as the Zeigarnik effect. Our unconscious mind, it turns out, isn't pestering us to do the unfinished task now, but rather to develop a plan for when we will finish it. You can either schedule a task on your calendar or designate it as an action item or a fast task to deal with this. This appears to be all that our brain requires in order to let go of something. Distractions eventually take over when we don't have a structure, blazingly evident priorities, or a plan. Our to-do lists are dictated by other people and email, rather than keeping a never-ending to-do list of things you really want to get done in a given day or week. This simple technique can help you start each day with a clear strategy for what you want. This simple technique can help you start each day with a clear strategy for what you'll focus on and when. You don't have to make continual decisions about what to focus on. Simply stick to your timetable. If you enjoyed our video, please click the like and subscribe button below for more financial tips.